Hollywood has given us medieval cartoons, medieval movies, sometimes even medieval music videos, but life in medieval times was not as romantic and clean as they might want you to think. Hollywood and artists give us a beautiful picture of what it might have been like living during this time period.
However, the streets of 14th century London were not sanitary. What was beneath the feet of the people as they walked the streets? The first ingredient was soaking wet mud. There were very few paved streets like there are now, so the streets were simply dirt, soaking wet and sticky in the winter, dry and dusty in the summer. The second ingredient was animal dung, or manure. There were almost as many animals on the streets as there were people, and as you know, animals just relieve themselves wherever they may be. The third ingredient, animal entrails or guts. Whichever parts of the animal that were not worth eating would be tossed out the window by the butcher and littered the streets. Next, they had old rotting fish in the streets. Fish was plentiful and a popular alternative to meat on holy days. Beer. It was a safer option than drinking the polluted medieval water. After the consumption of the beer, urine, because the bathrooms were a luxury that not everyone could afford. People used a chamber pot and then emptied it out the window. Each of these items alone have a bad smell, but imagine all of them mixed together and people walking on them, releasing the smells into the air. They did not want to walk through that stuff, so they tried to come up with solutions. They invented wooden overshoes known as pattens to lift them above the filth in the streets. In addition to the overshoes, they hired muckrakers to clear the streets once in a while. In addition to garbage and sewage that filled the streets, there were rats and other dangers.
One of the other dangers was Vikings that invaded Europe and went around just slaughtering people and causing war that lasted for more than 20 years.
Eventually, some of the Vikings decided to go off and raid other continents, and some of them decided to settle down and assimilate themselves among the people of England.
In 1347, a mysterious new disease appeared in Europe. Its symptoms were unlike anything ever seen before. Bright marks on the skin, a blood-soaked cough, and strange swellings the size of an egg. It killed within days. It's estimated that it wiped out nearly half the population of Europe. For hundreds of years, this mystery killer continued to terrorize Europe, devastating towns and villages at will. The helplessness and the horror still haunt us today. Imagine the terror of seeing your friends and family dying and you're left alone with nobody to look after you, and then you start feeling the same symptoms coming on. Then, within a couple of days, you too are dead. Even doctors in 1348 said there was nothing they could do. We just have to pray to God for this to end. In the great city of Florence, nearly 3/4 of the population were killed, and the death toll would continue rising in other towns too. People were dying in such numbers and so quickly that they could not have proper burials. There were said to be dogs and wolves running around with arms and legs because of this. Within a few months of its appearance, the Black Death was erupting around the Mediterranean coast. It spread with incredible speed, and in less than a year it devoured Europe. It ripped through Italy, Spain, France, and Germany, and in the summer of 1348, the Black Death arrived at the south coast of England.